We will have conversation with real lawyers and talk about real life stories. This podcast is about everything but the law. She is a proud mom of a 3-year-old. Please, team, welcome Miss Christina Renee Louis Baskin.
Oh, yes. His name is Josiah, charismatic little boy. He's all about dinosaurs right now. One word, I would say busy. Just because, in a great way, there's going to be some areas that you cannot always excel in. And I think when we let go of that narrative, then we'll be able to be better present mothers. My grandmother is 89 years old, and she is still just so helpful with my son. I work a job where at 5 o'clock p.m., I just cut it off. After that time is done, I'm giving my entire attention to just my family. One misconception about lawyers is that they're just they're always trying to deceive you. I think when I won my first trial, seeing that result, giving the victims, some type of, justice and closure. And he said he wanted to set the case for trial. And after that, immediately he grabs his chest and just falls down.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lawyers Have Soul Too. This is your host, Winnie Jean-Pierre. Thank you for showing up for another episode. Today, we have a special guest. I am super, super excited to have her here. For the past couple episodes, it's just been me, but I am going to start bringing on some guests. And like I promised, we will have conversation with real lawyers and talk about real life stories. Again, this podcast is about everything but the law. Today, we are talking about parenting and lawyering. We have a lawyer mom, and I'm going to do a quick intro on her. Obviously, this woman is too amazing. I will not give you all the juicy details, but her name is Christina Renee Louis Baskin. She is a native of the Highland County. She graduated from Sebring High School. She got her bachelor at the University of Central Florida, and she got her law degree at Florida State University. And Miss Christina right now is an assistant state attorney with the 10th Judicial Circuit, and she is also directing the Growing Resourceful Mind Foundation, supporting at-risk youth towards brighter future. She is a proud mom of a 3-year-old. We are going to talk a lot about him today, and whom she shared with her supportive husband, Jamal Baskin. Please, team, welcome Miss Christina Renee Louis Baskin. Hi, Christina. We are so happy to have you. How are you?
Hi, Winnie. I'm doing well. I'm so just glad to have been invited to the podcast. I'm honored. And I'm excited to, join this conversation with you today.
All right, great. So again, I know us as attorney, we are so wrapped up in this world. We are not talking about you being an attorney today. We'll talk about that a little bit, but we will focus on more on your life because this podcast is about lawyers having soul. And I think for you, your soul, a big part of your soul is your little one. So we're going to start with him. It's going to be all about him today and your family. So before we get into it, can you tell us about him? What's his name and what's his personality like?
Oh, yes. His name is Josiah. And again, he's 3 years old. He is a charismatic little boy. He's all about dinosaurs right now. And he just loves all things boy. He's great at reading. He loves learning new things. And he just loves to play. He's always full of energy and full of happiness. And he's always cracking up everyone around him with just how charismatic he is. And he just will ask you questions and joke around. So yes, he's just a joy in my life and in our family's lives for sure.
I love him already. He likes to read.
Oh yes, he loves to read.
Okay, tell him I'm going to be sending him some books about dinosaur and all the stuff.
That he would love it.
I love that. So if you had to describe a life with a toddler in one word, what would it be?
One word, I would say busy. Just because in a great way, you're just having to balance, of course, at this age, they want all of your attention, which is impossible to do. But, you kind of have to learn how to balance those things. And it does keep you busy, but it also keeps life exciting and fun, and it's enjoyable. I love being his mom. I love being a mom. And, I would have it no other way. But of course, he will keep you on your toes no matter what. And you cannot blink around him. So, yes, but it is a joy.
Yeah, busy is definitely it. And just FYI, mine is 13, so I'm 10 years ahead of you. It doesn't get easier, but it is fun. I think it's so important to really enjoy this time, right? They grow up so fast. They grow up really fast.
Exactly. And that's why I don't want to rush anything. Although I'm like, I would love for him not to pick up things off of the ground and, bring me lizards off of the floor. But this is just the time of life that he's in right now. And I'm enjoying every moment while he still thinks I'm super cool and I'm the coolest person ever, because I know he will grow out of that. And so I'm just soaking it all in right now.
Very soon, yes. So, how has parenting a toddler reshape your perspective on being a lawyer?
I think it has just helped me. One, I think it kind of helps you with just being able to see things from a different point of view. Me being a criminal lawyer, of course, you give a little bit more grace, because you know how it is being a mother, and everyone has so much going on. And although it's easy to be like, okay, well, this person, why are they acting like this, or why did they do this? As a mom, we know that things are just not as simple as they seem, that there are things that we deal with that people don't see. And so I think it gives you a little bit more of a different perspective to say, okay, although this might be the case, maybe there's something deeper that's there that I cannot see, and I should be giving more grace to people. And so I think that kind of helped with that, my perspective for sure.
Yes. So there is one thing that every mom that I know, we deal with that. It's called mom guilt. I know for me that was huge because I had my daughter when I was a senior in college, and then I went to grad school. I wanted to do it all. Doing a double major in criminology and business administration. So mom guilt, I mean, I carry that. I'm getting a little bit better now, giving myself grace and know that everything that I do for her. But how do you deal with that? Not being able to do it all.
Yes. And it's so funny that you said that, because I was just listening to someone say that there was a podcast by Shonda Rhimes, who is this big producer of a lot of different shows like Scandal. And
I'm a fan. I love her.
yes, they do. Yes. So she was saying that, when one thing in my, like, let's say I'm here with you, something else is falling off. Like, I can't be with my son. You have to, of course, understand that there's going to be some areas that you cannot always excel in, or that you can't always be present for everything, because we are moms and we are busy and we have lives outside of just being a mom. And although we want to devote as much time as we can as human beings, as working mothers, we have to understand that there's going to be some times where we have to kind of take a step back from certain things so that we can be present in other areas. So I know maybe, your house may not be spotless 24/7, but at least you can go to the park with your kid. Some things that just have to be balanced, but I realized that I can't have it all the time, or else I would just go crazy. And I think that, social media, and sometimes we have this false sense of we have to be able to do it all, and it's just impossible. And I think when we let go of that narrative, then we'll be able to be better present mothers.
Yeah. So talking about that, not being able to balance it all, let's talk about your support system. I know you are married with Mr. Jamal, and I know you also have your family. What is your support system like, and how has that made a difference in your life as a parent?
Oh, my support system is everything. It is my backbone. They are my backbone. Of course, my husband, who is right now with my son as we speak, tending to him while we're here, but also my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother, I know you've met them once before. My grandmother is 89 years old, and she is still just so helpful with my son. Actually, he's going to preschool now, but prior to him starting preschool in a week, he's been with his mother and grandmother, and they've been watching him full time. And they're the reason why he's able to read. He just turned 3 in June, because they've just been so attentive to him. They've poured into him, and they just allow me to be able to, not only go to work and be feeling assured that he's safe and he's being taught and he's being poured into, but also other things. I'm able to actually go out if I want to for a weekend, and they don't make me feel pressured or stressed or come get him. They just let me live my life. And I think, in the Haitian culture, especially, it's very normal for, grandmas and, you know, them to be so active in your life and in your kids' lives. And I'm so grateful for them, because if not for them, I would not be able to, be able to be in the community, be able to do the things that I'm able to do. So yes, I definitely thank my support system 1,000,000%, and I would not be able to do half the things. So they're
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I know. I always say, when people say, "How do you do everything that you do?" I say, "God, and then my support system." We are very lucky, I must say, because we know that not a lot of people have that. I know a lot of people that just don't have that kind of support system, and they are parents, and that's very, very, very hard, because even with my support system and your support system, we still have challenges. So imagine not having anything.
Exactly. And I'm so grateful to God to have them, because, like you said, so many women don't have, support systems readily available, or they live out of state, their parents live out of state, and they have to they can't really have as much freedom as far as doing things outside of working, So I really do think that it's a great blessing to have people who are willing and are wanting to be there for you.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. So you are a criminal attorney. Whew, heavy. So how do you manage stress and, while being a parent?
So for managing stress, I think a big part of it, and I think that every lawyer should do, is compartmentalizing things. I work as an ASA. I work a job where at 5 o'clock p.m. I just cut it off. I do what I can, but I know that there has to be at
Oh,
some point
I need to
a
come to you to teach me a few things.
Yes, and I know, and I've worked in other areas, and it's hard to do that because a lot of the times you do have to take work home. You don't have the ability to just say, okay, I'm done here. If you have a project, or if you have, one of the partners that are telling you you have to have this done by this certain time, you don't have the luxury of saying, well, sorry, it's 5 o'clock. No, you have to get the project done.
Right.
But again, that was part of my reason for wanting to do the job that I do, is because I knew I wanted to be more present with my son. He's very young, and I have a young family. And, I think it's important to, as far as managing stress, to say, okay, this is something I can do, or this is something I cannot do. Here's my non negotiables for a job. And you have to know where you can compromise and where you can't. And I think that that has really been a big thing for me, is I know at this time I'm done, and it's family time after that. And so that makes it a lot easier to manage stress. And after that time is done, I'm giving my entire attention to just my family.
That is amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, were you always like that, or did you have to learn how to set those boundaries? Like, hey, it's 5 o'clock, I'm off work, like, I don't want to hear it. It's time for my family.
Yes, I think it was a learning process, a learning curve for sure. But I think, like, once I had my son, I realized that I really couldn't compromise, my time anymore as far as family time goes. And so really, once I had him, I knew I had to make a career shift. And I know not every mom has to, or not every mom wants to. And I mean, I know there's some moms who rock at being able to do those jobs and work after hours and still be present for their family. But this was just the choice that I made that worked best for me. And thankfully, I was able to do that. And, I enjoy what I do. And so, yes, I think that this is I did have to learn, of course, how to give in a little bit and say, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this. But it helps a lot picking a job that kind of gives me more ability to say, okay, I'm done. It's an 8 to 5, and I know a lot of lawyer jobs are not 8 to 5s,
Yeah.
but that's again why I chose this.
Okay. So, what advice would you give to first time parents who are attorneys?
So for first time parents, I think the most important thing is lean on your support system. if you have one, of course, lean on them. Don't be afraid to use the resources available. And I know sometimes as moms, you want to say, okay, I got this, I can do it. And yes, we can do a lot of things, but there are some times where you have to say, okay, I am now trying, I have to lean in on the people that are my village. If you have a village, lean on them, so that you can be the best you, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. That goes from men and women. You need to be able to refill your cup. And so if you have people who can give you time to reset, even just a couple hours to clean your house, by yourself, you lean into those things. So I think that's important. And again, compartmentalizing work and home life, because if you start to bleed into your home life, that's when it really can just take over. And you want to make sure, again, like we said, your kids are only young one time. And so you want to make sure that you're able to enjoy them while they're still at home with you.
Yeah. So, fun question. What's a regular morning like for you where your husband is not home and you have to go to work and you have to get that little one ready?
Oh, it is chaotic. It is chaotic. Thankfully, he usually is there to help with that. And he actually typically brings him to his grandmother's house. But on the mornings that if he isn't there, it can be a lot for me to try and get ready. And it's mostly just wrangling him and getting him in to do this, getting him to eat breakfast. And, toddlers, when they want to do something, they want to do it. When they don't, they don't. So a lot of meltdowns, calming him down. But yes, but it's busy. It's a very busy morning. Especially if I don't have, my husband there, it can get interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. And do you think being a mom has made you a better lawyer? If yes, how?
Absolutely. I think it has made me a better lawyer. And like I said, I think it helps me, one, with the compassionate part, just being able to be a little bit more grace, give a little bit more grace in my everyday life. Being a prosecutor, people always think, oh, you have to be so mean and fierce and this and that. But I've learned a lot of patience, of course, through my son, and being able to see more the full picture of situations and not see things in a vacuum and say, hey, there may be more here. And it helps you to be a little bit more graceful, even as a prosecutor. So I think it definitely has, made me a better lawyer in that sense of, when you don't have a kid, I think you see the world so differently than when you do have a kid. And so I think that, of course, will bleed into any area of your life, but it definitely has as far as my career too.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely understand that part. I mean, um, being in charge of another human being
Yes. Keeping
is
them alive.
is a lot. Is a lot. When your child grows up and you look back at this phase in your life, what do you hope they will say about you as a parent and a professional?
Well, I would hope that my son says that my mom always was present for everything. Even if she had a hard day at work, she was always there. She was intentional. She made sure to balance work and home life. And I never felt like I missed out on anything, or that she missed out on anything. And of course, I mean, not every little detail will I be there for, but of course, for the things that really are important, I will be there for everything. And so that's what I hope he remembers, that I loved him with every, bit of my being, and that even though she may have been busy, she always made sure that she put the family first, put me first. So that's what I really hope that, he remembers when he grows up, for sure.
I love that. That's wonderful. Now you, outside of being a lawyer, what are your hobbies? What do you do for fun?
I love to travel. That's one of my biggest hobbies. I love to try out new places, go to new places. I love family time. I have a huge family. Both my husband's side and my side of the family are very, very large. And so we just love doing things together, even just local gatherings, Easter's, whatever. I just love being with them as well. So, really, family time, traveling. What else? Trying new places. Those are most of my biggest hobbies, of course. So
great. I love to travel as well. What are the three country cities that are in your top three?
Three, I loved Portugal. It was absolutely gorgeous there. Um, let's see, the next one, Jamaica.
Jamaica is fun. Food is great, people are great, everything's amazing. I've never been to Portugal, but Portugal's on my list of places to visit.
Oh yes, Portugal was really beautiful. Jamaica for sure. I've never been to Haiti. I would say Haiti if I had ever been there, but I've never been able to visit there. So, so my probably the next one would be Costa Rica.
Okay, nature.
Yes, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Mountainous. Yes, gorgeous. Rain.
Okay, I need to talk to you outside of this. So, Portugal has been I've been I don't know if I'm going anywhere, but I've been thinking about if I leave the US and go live somewhere else and I can't go back to Haiti, where would I go? Portugal's been popping up everywhere. Every time I research and putting like this is what I'm looking for climate wise, you know, people wise, food, obviously, money wise, because you want to go somewhere where it's not too crazy, too expensive. Portugal keep popping up and Costa Rica as well. So nice. That's good to know. Um, let's talk a little bit. We're gonna get a little bit messy, just a little bit. So as a black attorney, I have many friends. I don't do criminal law, obviously, but I've heard so many stories about how some of my friends get mistaken for being the defendant. Has that happened to you?
Not really a defendant. And I think that's just I've seen it happen. I've heard it happen. But I haven't been mistaken for a defendant. I have been mistaken for maybe like a secretary or a clerk. My assistant has been mistaken as the attorney, and I've been mistaken as her assistant. And that's mostly because of one, my age. I'm under 30 years old. Black. I'm in a very white populated area, Highlands County.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Yeah, right. As you know. So I think that, of course, contributes. So it's very surprising when people say, okay, you're the lawyer. Are you sure not the assistant or the clerk? So that's what I've been mistaken for. But I have heard my friends that are prosecutors have been mistaken for the defendant before, for sure.
I've had a couple. How do you respond to that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really sad, but,
Yeah. So how do you respond when somebody think you're the secretary? What do you say?
I just politely correct them because although I know it's a microaggression, I just feel like people get so consumed in their own world and they've just been, honestly, they've been taught that that's just the way things are. And it's sad, but I think it's more so just kind of like a result of the environment that they are from. And I've lived here. Like I said, I went to high school, I went to middle school, I went to elementary school here. So I've seen way worse. And I know kind of how a lot of the thinking is here. It's still very backwards, a lot of the thinking. And so because I've been raised here, I'm not surprised by it. I think if maybe I was raised in a bigger community, bigger city, I would be a little bit more offended. But I've just seen so many things and heard so many things here, unfortunately, that I've been kind of desensitized to those types of comments.
I I I mean that has not happened to me yet, but I always whenever I hear the story, I say, I wonder what I would say. I would probably, I'm super nice. I would probably just politely.
Now, the defendant thing may upset me a little bit. I mean,
Yeah, I think I said, yeah, that's a bit crazy. That is a bit crazy.
take assistant, but defendant might offend me a bit.
I know, right?
He is graceful in that situation.
Yeah, yeah. I, I will have one of them here on the podcast, and yeah, it would be interesting to hear. She was not as graceful as you. Let's just say.
Listen, I don't blame her.
So, what is one misconception that people have about lawyers?
One misconception about lawyers is that they're just grimy, that they're not good people. They're always trying to deceive you. They're always trying to find a loophole. And I mean, when it comes to contracts and things, sometimes we have to, but in real life, most of us are very grounded, nice people.
Just regular folks, right?
Exactly. Like most of us are very wholesome and, nice people. So, and I'm not saying everyone, there are a few bad apples that mess it up for everybody, but for the most part, like all the lawyers I know are typically, nice. Most of them are typically very nice people outside of working. And of course, you have to put on a face when you're in court and you're defending someone, zealous advocacy, as they say. But, when the mask comes off of being the zealous advocate, most people are able to really, separate the two. And I think the problem is when people can't separate, you know, when you're in court. And of course, you're supposed to be a bit aggressive and when you're out of court. And I think once you're able to compartmentalize those two, then you're able to be a better person.
Yeah, yeah. So just a couple more questions before we wrap up. What is one thing about you, because you're a prosecutor, outside of the court that surprises people? Like people that have seen you in action. And they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're surprised that I have a toddler because I mean, a lot of the people, bailiffs, clerks, everything, like, oh, you're such a fierce lawyer. Like, I didn't expect you. And I'm like, again, that's my job. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you're not able to separate the two, of course, I'm not speaking to my son like I'm speaking to a jury in a trial, of course. It's going to be a little bit different because you're kind of putting on a bit of a show. It's theatrical, it's going to be a little bit more severe. Whereas my toddler, is a toddler,
Right.
I'm a mom. So at the end of the day, you do have different hats that you wear. And I think sometimes people see you and they're like, oh, I didn't see that for you. I didn't see you like that as a mom. Well, yes, that's because I'm not there right now. That's not my hat that I have on right now. But when I get home, that mommy hat comes on.
So we all have regrets in career because we are humans. What is one regret that you have that still stands?
Well, as far as regrets, I kind of regret not leaving my previous job sooner, which I was working in insurance defense prior to this job, and the job that I have now. And I mean, it just was so depleting. And like I said, I chose my job now because a lot of it was because of time management, but that job really didn't give me that. It didn't really give me the ability to have time to reset. I was constantly working. I was working under a partner. The billables were really high. And so that really was stressful. And I think mentally took a toll. And so I think, sometimes we get like, it was my first big girl, big lawyer job. And
Yeah.
of course, I wanted to stay in it for that reason. But I think you have to know, hey, this is not for me anymore. And be able to say, even though, it is like, it was kind of like, you're attached to that because it was that big girl job, my first one. I should have been able to say, hey, it's really not for me and left sooner. But I think it all worked out in the end and the timing worked out, for me in the end. So,
All right. So when did you realize that being a lawyer was not just a career, but it was reshaping your soul?
I think when I won my first trial,
Ah.
yes, when I won my
Yes, when
first
I went
real
my first.
trial, because I did moot court and mock trial in law school and I won a bunch of competitions. But when you're able to win a real trial, and in that trial, it was a battery, and I had like 7 witnesses, and it was the defendant in the case had beat up a few of his neighbors.
Ooh.
And it was just kind of like it was good because that defendant also was like a raging alcoholic, a raging drunk, and he was just wreaking havoc in the community. And so the judge actually sentenced him to the maximum for that offense. And so he was in jail for 2 years. So I think it was just really, seeing how excited, I mean, they were happy that justice was served. And so, seeing that result, giving the victims, some type of, justice and, concludes kind of that part of their lives in a way and closes that door, gives them closure, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's very, it changes you in that way to see that, and it makes you want to continue going, in doing that work for sure.
So last question, I don't know if you'll be able to answer, but if you can, please do. I think it would be a little interesting. Craziest thing that you've witnessed in a courtroom?
Craziest thing I've witnessed, and I've seen so many crazy things, Winnie. I mean, it's insane. One of them was which was a couple months ago. Um, we had a defendant who was at a pretrial conference. Pretrial conference, essentially, when your mandatory docketing, essentially, goes up to the bench or to the stand and was saying what he wanted to do with the case. He was, I believe, pro se at that point, and the judge asked him, what do you want to do now? We're past arraignment. What are you doing? And he said he wanted to set the case for trial. And after that, immediately he grabs his chest and just falls down. And we had to have an ambulance come in. EMS came, took him on a stretcher, wheeled him out. It was just the most insane thing. It was very strange.
He had a heart attack?
Yeah, they said they believed he had a heart attack at that point.
Oh my, yeah, that is crazy.
Court kept going after that. Once they ruled him out, we called the next person, like nothing happened. So yeah, so that was one of the crazy things. And I've seen so many in criminal law and in the criminal court. It's so funny. I could write a book with all of the scenarios, but that was just one that was like, wow, okay. Yeah. But he made sure to set his case for trial though. So
hey, listen.
Handle business at the end of the day.
He took care of whatever needed to be taken care of. Okay, so the podcast is called Lawyers Have Souls Too. So if you were to finish this sentence, you would say because lawyers have souls too because they
have lives outside of their careers.
Yes. Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you so much, Christina. This was fun. Well, guys, this was amazing. Christina, I mean, she had so many stories. And again, this is what we promised to bring. There will be more stories, more attorneys like her sharing stories about their lives and parts of their soul with us. Until next time, it's your host, Winnie Jean-Pierre. Bye-bye.